Okay, welcome back to Principles of Banking. We're going to start off on Chapter 3 here and get started with our next unit. But first things first, I just wanted to go over and say that I read all of your discussion entries. Very interesting. A lot of good points in there, a lot of interesting points of view and questions, and a lot of different topics that we can discuss as the semester goes on. So the first question then becomes is who loves PowerPoint? And I know everybody does. It's an exciting platform to deliver information, so I know you guys love it. But what I'm really interested in, though, is I want to ask is where do you want the course to go? A lot of you seem to have specific questions regarding lending, financial education, money creation, the events of 2008, biases toward banks, some big questions and issues to discuss as related to the banking industry and things that you're interested in. Now, this book that we're using, it takes a view of banking from somebody who's going to work in a bank, and it kind of goes from there. It tends to go really in depth in some things and then kind of glosses over others. So I guess my first question here on this slide is to ask you all what you want the course to look like. Do you want these lectures that I do to be rehash of the book, or are you more interested in some more specific topics, and to go into in-depth things? Some of the questions I saw on the forum were about credit cards, and some of you didn't like the credit card departments of banks. So things like that we can discuss in these lectures as opposed to going over the book. There are a lot of resources online for some of the book material. In this unit, I've included 2 videos for you to watch that do a better job than I could hope to do. One is a Treasury video on the history of the U.S. banking system. That one's kind of long. You can watch it if you want to. If you read the book, you don't necessarily need to. Your research for the homework assignment this week is going to be probably as much history of the U.S. banking system than you'll want to learn. The second one is a Khan Academy video that I definitely encourage you to watch. That one is about fractional reserve banking, money creation, and the Fed. And very interesting, very important to understanding the way that our system works. So what I'd like you to do is write me emails or post discussion board topics, what you want these lectures to look like. I'd like to keep them to 5 to 7 minutes. I'm already at 3, so we're going to go over this time. But I'm going to try to jump around and keep these short so that you don't fall asleep at your desks. So let me know in discussions or emails what you want this to look like. If the bulk of you want this to be geared toward more specific things, we'll go that way. If you like the book rehash, we'll go that way. So you kind of tell me where you want to go with it, and I'll try to include other things. Okay, so jumping right in, the evolution of money. What is money? What is it that we spend so much time thinking about? Well, it's truly a medium of exchange. It's a way for us to trade, essentially, short of bartering. That's really what money is. Started off as coins. At one time during the ancient world used coins. The Romans used coins. The Egyptians used coins. Gold is a good, well, not necessarily an easy metal, but a good metal to use. Is relatively scarce. We'll get into some of the other reasons why gold is good. But it started off with coins. Money changers are an old profession. These are like the early version of banks. These folks were so good with money and with their assets that other people began to leave deposits with them, and it was a very crude, very early version of a bank. They're a very old profession. In the picture here, you can see Jesus throwing the money changers out of the temple. So even in AD 29 or whatever it would have been, bankers weren't necessarily always popular. So there's that for you. Money continued to evolve into something we now call fiat money. Fiat money is paper money that we use today, and the reason we call it fiat money is because in Latin, fiat means let it be, or it's sort of a declaration. we've decided these little pieces of paper are money, so now they are, and everyone will sort of get used to it. The U.S. Abandoned the gold standard in 1971 under President Richard Nixon, but truly it was on life support for a long time before that. Franklin Roosevelt took the U.S. off the gold standard in 1933. It was one of the worst years of the Depression, and the reason that they did it was to increase the supply of money in society. As dollars were backed up by gold, there was a time in the United States before 1933 when you could bring your dollars to a bank and exchange it for gold, and take the gold home. Now, not all banks had it. You had to go to certain places, but there was a time where you could do such a thing. Now, forget it. If you want to buy gold, now you're going to have to buy it on the open market. At most recent price was almost $1,300 an ounce. So the fiat money is the new order of the day. Every currency on the globe, for major countries, is fiat money today. So the functions and properties of money. There's three big functions of money. Money is a medium of exchange, and what we mean by that is it is something that we will accept in exchange for something else, as opposed to bartering. So if I have cheese and you want to buy it from me, instead of having to give me a basket of horseshoes or something, you can give me money, you can have the cheese. I can use the money to buy something else that I need later on. I may not be interested in what you have to trade in a barter system, so money makes it simpler. It's also a unit of account, and what we mean by that is it's kind of a standard of measurement, and it's most helpful to think of this in terms of a balance sheet for a business. So to say that I have inventory, let's say I am a company that makes socks, and I have 30,000 socks in my inventory. Well, that's all well and good, but how do I make it clear to you just what those socks are worth? Well, we have a unit of account. It's called a dollar. 30,000 socks may be worth $10,000. So there you go. Now I have a way to explain it. Another thing that is a function of money is that it's a store of value. So in a good way to think about this would be to say, what do you mean by it's a store of value? Well, money retains its value. Because let's say instead of money we used milk as a store of value, as a currency. Well, milk is great until it goes bad, and then it's not worth anything anymore, so it doesn't retain its value. Now, you could turn rotten milk into cheese or yogurt, but we'll leave that alone for now. For now, we'll say that money stores value, and that's why we use it. Properties of money. These are the basic functions that people can expect money to be used for, but in order to complete those functions, it has to have certain properties. It has to be acceptable as a medium of exchange. So we can't say, bricks are money from now on. Bricks are not easy to handle. They're difficult to deal with, so they're not acceptable. It has to be divisible. Again, it has to be something that you can divide. So you say I have $100. I'm buying something that costs $50. So I have to be able to divide up my money in order, and it has to retain its value when it's divided, as opposed to, if we said that bicycles were money, and then I tried to give you a tire. Well, now my bicycle is not worth what it should be. So it has to be divisible. Typically, money needs to be relatively scarce. Now, the Federal Reserve right now is making it interesting on this level as to the scarcity, as we do QE1, QE2, QE3, QE4, and the Federal Reserve continues to print money, makes it less scarce. But typically, it needs to be something that's relatively scarce, or else it's not valuable. So the book says sand in the Sahara couldn't be money because it's everywhere. But water probably could be, because it's not everywhere and it's scarce. Water may not be good because it needs to be stable in value. It's the same sort of thing as why milk wouldn't be good. And then it also needs to be portable. Modern money today is portable. You can use it in many different ways, and you can have it available when you need it. Okay, lending, money creation in the Federal Reserve. So lending creates money. For every $10 that are deposited in a bank, the bank will typically lend out $8 or $9. 9 is sort of the limit that the government permits. But this creates money. Sort of voila, there it is. Now we have an additional $9 in the market. And the way that this works is that the bank owes the depositor $10, but there's other depositors too. And the bank kind of figures that not all of these depositors will come in for their money at the same time, so we can lend it out. We keep enough on reserve to give depositors as they need to withdraw it, but we lend out the money, most of the money that they gave us, and it gets paid back with interest, and thus creating money in the system. Now, if all the customers came back to the bank at once, the bank would fail. I mean, and when I say that is all of the depositors came back to the bank at once, the bank would fail. And that's what's called a bank run. And it happened in the Depression, which is one of the reasons that FDR took the banks off the gold standard. But I've given you a link to a Khan Academy video on Blackboard for a more in-depth discussion on the things in the rest of the chapter. So go ahead and view that. It's a very good, very useful explanation of how this system works. And like I said, give me some feedback on these lectures. I'm trying to keep it short so that you don't have to spend a ton of time. If you're going to be reading the book, you're going to be doing assignments, you're going to be learning a lot. I think the most interesting thing so far has been the discussions and really getting to know what you guys think and what you know. And I'd like to sort of make those discussions a bigger part of the course. So give me some feedback. Let me know what you want. You can see here I'm at 12 minutes already. Wanted to try to keep this to 7, so you can see how difficult that is just going through the book information. But if you feel this is valuable, then let me know that too, and we will continue to build as the course goes along. So that's going to do it for now. Watch those other videos, complete the assignments. Any questions, comments, feel free to use a discussion board to post things so everybody can see it. But if you need urgent answers, please go ahead and send me an email and I will get back to you right away. Enjoyed reading your forums, and I hope that you're enjoying it so far too. Talk to you again soon.